We're the same age. You're 48. That's right. We're moving into the final glide pattern. Jonathan Winters was one of Johnny Carson's most unpredictable and hilarious guests. What are you looking for? I'm just looking for one. Take your time, you won't be graded until well after 8. Pencils down. These are Jonathan Winters' funniest moments on The Tonight Show. Winters and Robin Williams, the unstoppable duo. You had access to more medication in those. Yeah, some of the shows were real quick. I noticed the stuff wore off tonight. But college fun. The interview stops being an interview and turns into two guys building bits on instinct, escalating off each other. Yes, I want to congratulate you, General, on winning the Emmy for Davis Roll's Best. I really didn't think that I was going to win, and otherwise I would have been there. And I turned to my wife of many years and I said, "What do you think, sweetheart?" And she said, "You don't stand a chance." And so it's that kind of support that's together. That makes one want to return to, the shaving lotion. Carson and the audience visibly couldn't stop laughing at how funny they were. The cat gluer had a thing happen. I was painting the other night, and some glue spilled on the floor, and I forgot, just phase out, and here was glue just all over. And my cat came down, and I noticed Kitty was quite still. And Winters claims he glued his cat to the floor, selling it like a real-life crisis. Carson reportedly said, "Waters told that cat story so straight-faced I almost believed him. I remember one time, a major highway, and I was sitting like this in the snow, and a state highway patrolman came out, and he said, 'Can I help you?' And I said, 'Yes, you can. I've been meditating over whether this vodka is gone or still there.'" Remember, when chaos comes about when drinking stories involving Johnny and him were told when they were kids? The story shows how close Carson and Winters were throughout their 25-plus years of friendship. The one-man show. "I don't think I got your name. Didn't you?" "No, I didn't, sir." "Buck Edelhofer. I hope you don't mind either one of you if I choose." "Oh no. No, sir. Not a bad." "Well, I always have. Ever since I was 6 years old, I always had a bunch of stuff in the right side of my face. Just like ball players, huh? Just like ball players do that, huh?" Winters takes a simple setup and turns it, music, into a runaway performance, driving the moment like a one-man show. "You can call me Dick." "All right, Dick. 65. Yeah, I'm sort of a Caucasian Satchel Paige. My goodness. And states, and your name, sir, is Wayne Secondface." Wayne Sickenface. Wayne Secondface. Where do you call home, Wayne?" Wales." "No, I'm kidding." Johnny joked to producers. Winters doesn't sit calmly, music, on the couch. My reactions become part of the punchline because even I have to hang on. The Marine misfit. I was always disturbed because I didn't know where I was. Unless you're an officer, you see. You're not clued in and you're not given the top papers, which I felt I should have had at least 1 or 2 papers. And I kept asking questions, which is always trouble. Running up to a captain, or colonel like yourself and saying, "Where are we, sir?" Winters' impression of a Marine, that makes the crowd go wild. Carson said the impression of the Marine made Tonight Show ratings soar just a few days later, something only he could do single-handedly. The toy train victim. I was at fault. I'm not blaming Lionella. I'm sure some guy from Lionella is sitting up. What did he say about our train company? No, what's my fault? I had come in from a very snowy evening. I was petting the dog the wrong way to begin with. A toy train becomes a real-life disaster story, described with the urgency of something dangerous. Johnny told his staff, Winters makes Ed McMahon and the room react like they can't believe what they're hearing. The quitter. Like a little wine at Thanksgiving, and a good expensive cigar sit there, and do that, and sip on a little wine. But, it's over because I know if I'm going to have a little wine, then I'll have a little vodka and a little scotch. All of a sudden, it'll be Wednesday. Yeah, of course. Or it'll be the year 2000. He takes the topic of why he quit drinking and makes it disarmingly funny by how plainly he tells it. The delivery and honesty of this line is what makes it comedy gold. The improv master. No rivalry, no. I fought an attorney. Killed him on the spot. He said, "You get the kitchen knives. Good. You'll do time for this." And then was gone. "Anyway, you want to talk about this?" "Sure. I mean, get off of kitchen knives." You got it. This plays like a live demonstration of how fast his brain moves, spinning bits on the spot. Instead of relying on prepared stories, he keeps the audience guessing with rapid character changes. Carson becomes the straight man, trying to keep the segment shaped like a conversation. I said, "Mother, you know, it's great to be home, number one," and I said, "Where are my toys?" Long pause. She said, "You're 20 years old, dummy." Very sensitive at that time too. I mean, if you said that been said to me in the service, and of course grenade. So, laughter. I didn't have any grenades or she'd have been history. So, Winters proves improvisation is a talent. Music, you can't fake. Johnny later told his producers, Winters was the best improviser he ever saw. The segment feels music, like watching genius in real time. Carson gives him complete freedom, knowing he'll deliver. Winters never repeats the same bit twice. Christmas party chaos. I invite you to all these parties, the young guy, laughter. And their little tongues, you know, they're picking up on cookies and everything. They're like, you know, well-dressed kind of regimental tie lizards. He treats Christmas parties like they're naturally chaotic events that always go wrong. Framing it as a full appearance built around that party energy premise, he makes the audience picture the scene as it escalates. Said, "You got any, funny drinks in there? You know, any fruitcake?" I brought him a fruitcake, and of course it blew up on him before he got to the car. The topic is relatable, but he makes it extreme. Winters describes office parties like war zones. Carson laughs because the exaggeration rings true. The music segment proves Winters can make anything funny. Johnny lets him run with the premise. Winters' facial expressions sell the chaos. The reliable genius? Pencils down. Hang. You people with the, "I can't find it now. It was a first and last day of spring." Oh yes, that's here. Here, let me. Where is that? I just happened to see that. Do you know where that is? I know the book. It's right on the cover. Laughter huff. Oh, look at that. Oh, here. This one is basically Winters doing what people came for, with unpredictable bursts of humor that keep moving. The segment is packaged as never disappoints and delivers by refusing to settle into one lane. When teachers say, and a lot of people say, you know, "How are we doing?" What does this mean? Why can't you say, "How are you doing?" You know, but they say that in hospitals. How are we today? Not good. Laughter huff. Carson's laughter reinforces the idea that Winters can hijack a room in seconds. The energy stays high the whole time. Johnny knows what he's getting with Winters. The audience came for chaos and got it. Carson told his staff Winters was always worth booking. Winters lived up to his reputation every single time. Winters' drinking parents. So, and eventually she grabbed me. The bottle dropped, you know? "Oh, nice sweetheart, I did you." Ha 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 ha. And, he takes the uncomfortable detail that his parents like to drink and turns it into comedy through tone and timing. And she said the line I'll never forget. She said, "Well, sweetheart, how did we know that you were going to survive?" So, that's when I put her in a home early. The humor is the matter-of-fact way he says things that sound too strange to be true. He keeps it personal without making it sentimental. It works because it feels like real life told from the funniest angle. The school struggler. I was blown in all departments. Math was not my best. I got as far as geometry. And I thought that was having been tutored in literally everything, from the apples to algebra, a square plus b square, and sitting that, please, because I remember the students going up and finishing. Laughter. He struggled in school, then turns that into a string of laughs instead of a soba story, framing himself as a misfit who still finds the joke. The comedy comes from how he owns the failure without shame. Problem number 6, and I was but you become an actor. It's interesting. I was calling on failures then. Mind failures, arthritis in both feet. So I'd say, "I can't walk, sir. I can't walk to the board. Maybe if you bring the board to me." Laughter. Get up. Surely. But I like the... Carson's reactions signal that the room recognizes the truth in it. It's self-deprecating without being gloomy. Winters makes academic failure sound heroic. Johnny relates to the outsider, music narrative. The audience loves the underdog angle. Carson later told his staff, Winters' honesty was refreshing. Winters demonstrates that formal education isn't music everything. Carson told his producers this was important, television, the political figure, issues coming up in the upcoming election. Senator, what do you think about our economy? Well, I think one thing about our economy, I think many people are concerned about this and rightfully so. Is a dollar worth anything anymore? And I think what we've got to do is that this just one of my many platforms. I don't know how many are going to work, but as long as you can get 2 out of 80, what the heck, you know? The rapid fire switching is the hook, as he keeps bouncing between politicians, doing an explicit politician's impression segment built around recognizable public figure mannerisms. You go to your bank as an example, and you cash a check for $152. It would behoove them at the bank to give you $172, and this is going to stimulate money, you see. And the laughs come from how fast the character changes, mid-flow. It shows Winters' control over voice, posture, and timing in one tight clip from January 20th, 1976. Winters doesn't do one impression and stop. He creates an entire political landscape. Just a few. But any rate, all of you old people out there, I love you. I really do. I have some old friends. Well, what are you going to do for them? Well, I think this. Let's make it Halloween all year round. Let's put on some. Carson becomes audience member watching the show. The posture changes are as important as the voices. Johnny later told his staff Winters was untouchable at impressions. Each politician gets fully realized in seconds. Winters makes political figures human and ridiculous. Music. Carson tries keeping up, but Winters is too fast. The segment proves Winters' range beyond comedy. Yet sticks in the ground. Didn't seem to be effective though, did it? Not in my state. But I think that the weather has always been a problem. What we have done too is, which I am promoting are plastic vegetables. Plastic vegetables. Johnny appreciates the technical skill on display. Winters never breaks character during transitions. The audience recognizes each politician immediately. Carson later said this was impressionist perfection. Winters makes it look effortless when it's incredibly difficult. Johnny gives him complete control, knowing he'll deliver. The 1976 date makes it a historical document. Winters captured that political moment perfectly. Carson told friends this was his favorite Winters bit. The rapid switching requires incredible mental agility. Johnny's laughter is genuine, not professional. Winters proved political comedy could be apolitical. The segment works because it's about performance, not politics. Carson appreciated the craft as much as the comedy. Winters with Robin Williams, the comedy collision. Makes me feel important. Yes, I want to congratulate you, General, on winning the Emmy for Davis Rules. Best important, thank you. Applause and cheering. The pairing of Winters in the same orbit as Robin Williams naturally invites riffing, and the humor comes from how easily the conversation turns into performance once Winters gets a lane. Carson's job shifts from interviewer to traffic controller. The guest combination practically guarantees unpredictability. Winters and Williams feed off each other, creating comedy chaos. Johnny becomes referee, watching two masters work. The energy in the studio becomes electric. Carson later told his staff, this was lightning in a bottle. Winters holds his own against younger Williams. The generational clash creates interesting dynamics. So, it's that kind of support that can't be together, hasn't it? That makes one want to return to, the shaving lotion. Johnny watches as they build Bix in real time. Williams clearly respects Winters as the godfather. Winters proves he can still compete with new talent. Carson gives them freedom knowing it'll be gold. The segment shows passing of the torch. Johnny later said this was his favorite guest pairing ever. Winters and Williams share similar improvisation styles. The competition brings out their best work. Carson barely needs to participate, just enjoy. Winters demonstrates his influence on Williams. Johnny appreciates watching masters at play. The segment becomes about mutual respect. Winters never condescends to the younger comedian. Carson told his producers to never interrupt this. Williams later credited Winters as a major influence. The chemistry between them is undeniable. Johnny's visible joy makes it even better. The segment proves comedy is timeless. The barbecue ribs Emmy winner. We had a choice. One choice of going to a fella's house to have ribs. But they were marvelous ribs, hand stuff, and I was in just a house with other people ribs. He's eating barbecue ribs. when he finds out he won an Emmy, telling it like the timing is the whole joke with big moment meeting. Completely unglamorous setting. The humor is the contrast between prestige award and messy normal food moment. The image is so simple and funny, it sticks. Winters makes winning an Emmy sound ordinary. Carson laughs at the absurdity of the visual. The barbecue ribs detail is perfectly specific. Johnny later told his staff this was classic Winters. The story proves even victories can be funny. Winters never lets ego inflate the moment. Carson appreciates the humility in the telling. The audience pictures the scene perfectly. Johnny asks follow-up questions to milk the image. Winters describes the ribs in detail, making it funnier. The Emmy becomes secondary to the food. Carson later said, "Music. This showed Winters' perspective. The unglamorous setting makes it relatable." Johnny loves that Winters doesn't take awards seriously. The segment proves comedy comes from unexpected places. Winters treats the Emmy like an interruption. Carson's visible delight encourages more details. The barbecue ribs become more memorable than the award. Johnny, music, told friends this was pure Winters. The story works because it's so specific and visual. Winters makes the mundane hilarious. Carson recognized this as perfect comedic storytelling. The contrast is what sells the joke. Johnny's laughter validates Winters' approach. The segment became one of Winters' most quoted moments. Jonathan Winters' legacy was defined by these 15 moments. He was by far one of the most funny comedians and unique guests in all of tonight's show history. Let us know below which moment is your favorite, as well as subscribe and clicking the thumbs up button for more videos like